in puppies, in dogs, and we did not have a very good history in our own family with our own pets, which I'll share with you during the course of this talk. It's all linked. I've separated, but puppies, babies, butterflies, bees, it's all related. But let's get into what's making our puppies sick. So, there is something I've talked about before, it's citizen science. That's where people collect data. And glyphosate exposure, people and pets, is generating a lot of data from citizens. 86% of people tested had detectable levels. That's up 3,800% from 20 years ago. Diet appears to be the largest source for people and animals. Animals have much higher levels than people. Dogs have 30 times more and cats have 16 times more. This is data that I'm going to share with you that's been collected by citizens. So, who's been collecting this data? These are friends of mine, an Health Research Institute. They're in Fairfield, Iowa. They test humans, animals. They're amazing. They have PhDs. They're accurate. They use very sophisticated testing techniques. And I got most of the data tonight that I'm going to share with you from this group of individuals. You know, I'm data-driven. You heard the speech already. I'm just going to show you what these numbers look like. Dogs have the highest levels of glyphosate, the main ingredient in Roundup, compared to other animals, humans, cats, and horses. Dogs were very high. Those are parts per billion. And so, cats, it's hard to get the urine. Have you tried getting urine from a cat?
Yeah.
It's not so easy, getting that little catheter in their wee-wee. So dogs, it's much easier to get the little dog thing and you get their urine. Babies, it's not so easy either. Babies get their urine. Horses, probably a bit easier as long as they get kicked. So look at this. From Health Research Institute, their labs, glyphosate exposure of dogs to glyphosate, and these are the levels found in dog food. So they looked at dog food, and I'm going to show you their data. And I told you that that non-alcoholic fatty liver disease was at levels less than 2 parts per billion. They found levels of 200, 400, 616 higher parts per billion of glyphosate in dog food. Wow. And that is shocking. So they went ahead and looked at all the different brands, and I'm showing this to you, so not so you can memorize all the brands of dog food, but if you look up there, I am sure there are some brands up here you've used. I've used them, and when I look at some of these, I'm like, whoa, Kibbles and Bits, 660 parts per billion, and Rachel Ray, come on Rachel, look at hers, super high, and you can see Nutro Ultra Senior Chunks low, raw food was low. I'm not getting into so much tonight whether raw food's better, cooked food as much, just showing you what's in the food that we're feeding our dogs. I got this data from my colleagues there again, and they didn't even know which brands were which. They were all coded by number, and I went and cracked the code and figured out which one it was, and it was this D-Dog. This V-Dog had 552 parts per billion because it's made with peas, lentils. Peas and lentils have high amounts of glyphosate because they use the glyphosate Roundup as a desiccant. It's an off-label use of Roundup. So when they do is they spray on the crops when they go to harvest to dry them out. So the levels in those foods are very high. So those dog foods, a lot of dogs now are vegetarian. You know, there are people who don't want to feed their dogs animal protein, but those are very high sources of Roundup, of glyphosate-based herbicides. I read this from the FDA. You know me, CSI. I said, what are they doing? So I said, the animal food was labeled as inedible. I went and looked at FDA compliance. I read that sheet from the FDA and saw what they allowed in dog food. I was shocked and horrified, but not surprised. I was shocked and horrified, but not surprised. But this is how they label animal food, as inedible. That's what we're feeding our dogs. This one Look how cute, highest amount of glyphosate. This one had the lowest amount of glyphosate, like 5 parts per billion. Not organic, had lowest amount. So what about our cats? Now I talked about puppies, but I'm a cat person too. I love cats. Cats weren't faring much better. They had, for example, through 9 lives indoor, look at all these levels. There was one that looked good, and I'll show those to you. But cat food also tested high in glyphosate, not just dog food. This 9 lives had the highest amount of glyphosate tested. This one had the best, lowest amount of glyphosate tested. So I memorized this word, owl. These are foods that are extremely high sources of glyphosate. Oats, wheat, and legumes. Particularly bad for vegetarians. If they don't eat organic, they're getting a whopping dose of glyphosate if they're not eating organic. Organic doesn't have this. So I support vegetarian-based diets, but a vegetarian must eat organic because of this. Because that is one of the major sources of protein in a vegetarian diet, are the legumes. Again, as we said last time, non-GMO, natural makes no difference in the level of glyphosate. Okay, you can have a non-GMO food, you can have a natural food, and it's still loaded with glyphosate. No difference. Medium-high source are GM crops like corn and soy. So when they use the Roundup as a desiccant, those crops have higher amounts. They were not designed to tolerate the spraying of Roundup. They're not herbicide-tolerant crops. So how else do dogs and cats get this exposure? Well, through dermal contact. Monsanto, Bayer, they showed that farmers who get glyphosate on their skin have 10 times the level in their bodies as those who use gloves. Remember Mr. Dwayne Johnson, the sprayer from Benicia who got non-Hodgkin's lymphoma? He sprayed Roundup for 20 years, he never used gloves. He got that very bad form of lymphoma. He won the original $78 million lawsuit, first lawsuit from Monsanto Bayer. And he's a local guy. Dogs and cats absorb it through their paws and their coats. It's not clear from limited data how much this affects levels compared to their exposure through their dog food. They're getting it every which way. When dogs walk on those meridians that were sprayed, they're licking their paws, they get it absorbed through the dermis. The skin is a great absorptive medium, right? We know that you can absorb a lot through the skin. Just about everything is absorbed through the skin. We can put medicines on your skin. We do it in babies. We can apply it on the skin, especially where the skin is thin, on the forearm and the belly. So babies can absorb medicines that way. So this is a real problem. The question, is my dog at risk for cancer? Out of 3 dogs that we've had over the past 15 years, all 3 of ours got cancer. Yep, our stats were not looking good at our house. What was going on? Well, initially, the old dog, we weren't feeding all organic back in the day. I didn't know about all this stuff 20 years ago. I wasn't as informed. I knew about organic, but not as much on the dog food issue. Now, boy, things have changed in my house. Dogs are susceptible to the same kind of cancers as people. 1 in 4 dogs will develop cancer. 50% of dogs over the age of 10 will develop cancer. And that's a huge amount of dogs. Lymphoma is the most common, 20%. Our last dog died of lymphoma. Mast cell tumors and osteosarcomas, our first dog had both of those. She lasted until 15. I treated her homeopathically. That was a long time ago. Now, I don't think straight homeopathy works anymore. It's because they're too sick. It used to just work. You need a remedy and it would work. I think that's why my first dog did fine. With the next 2 dogs who both got cancer, one had an osteosarcoma, one had a lymphoma. They were siblings. They were too sick. And that's what I'm seeing in kids. 20 years ago, I gave a constitutional remedy. It worked. Now, not so much. Now you need a remedy, and you need nutraceuticals, nutrition, and you need herbal medicine, and you need osteopathic, and you need acupuncture, and you need. That's where kids are now. So those old methods I don't think work. So, dogs are 2 to 5 times more likely than people to develop lymphoma. A 2012 study from Tufts showed that the use of lawn care pesticides raised the risk of lymphomas in dogs by 70%. So when my neighbor who was spraying Roundup, and then that Roundup came down in our little irrigation pipe, and our dogs loved to drink from that irrigation pipe, they all did it, And then eventually we talked to that neighbor. Well, I did. That neighbor moved. I was nice. Well, not that nice. Actually, I wasn't nice at all. No, that's what I did wrong. But the other neighbor from Fairfax, Crunchy Fairfax, was also spraying Roundup. And I told him he was going to get prostate cancer, and he stopped. Does it give you prostate cancer? I don't know. I mean, that's what lymphoma looks like. That's what my dog had a big tumor in the neck. The vet on 4th Street in San Rafael missed it. Yes, I'm going to call it out like it is. Mm-hmm. That's right. They're gone. Oh, we had a conversation also. I'm not saying they're related. I'm just saying. Is your cat at risk for cancer? Lymphoma is one of the most common cancers in cats. Feline lymphomas are often linked to feline leukemia virus or feline immunodeficiency virus. Our first cat had that, Mocha. So I'm also very familiar with this. The presence of that virus does not automatically lead to disease, by the way. But if your gut is impaired from the crap in the food because it's offsetting your microbiome, because we talked about last time that Roundup is an antibiotic that affects the microbiome, and that data just came out in December, then their microbiome is affected, their immune system is affected, they cannot clean up cancer cells because their natural killer cells go down and they will develop cancer. So if you don't think that there is a reason why our animals have cancer, you're mistaken. We know exactly why. They have lowered these NK cells which surveil for tumors. And they're down because of the microbiome effects from pesticides. It's one of the main reasons. So when people say, we don't know, yes, we know. I don't want to hear that we don't know. That's a cop-out. We know. This cat has a mediastinal tumor in his neck. Does not look good. Siamese cats are some of my favorites. This cat is actually Burmese. And a shout out to my daughter-in-law who just left. So, quick guide to dog food ingredients. There are some things that work out fine. Some things you need to avoid. Again, you need an app and a PhD to figure out what to feed your dog. That website's amazing. I found it by accident. Because when I prepare these talks, I learned so much. Because I want to give you guys the up-to-date stuff. I'm not going to give you old caca. I'm going to give you fresh stuff. So I'm looking up and I'm like, whoa, that website blew me out how much information about pet food was on that website. And I got some of my data off that website. So that was freaking brilliant. I found homemade dog recipes. Oh, you've got to be kidding me. I just can't imagine making the dog food, but there it is. All right, there are people who are going to be doing this. And that is, I think my husband would even eat that. It's beefalo. It's meatloaf. It's beefalo. And look, I mean, it's not that hard. And I would probably do this now. I'm holding off on dogs right now. I'm 0 for 3, so I'm waiting right now. But not so hard. I would probably do this in the future. I don't think I'd give my dog kibble and canned dog food anymore, even the organic brands. I think I'm over that. Cats are a little trickier. Cats' nutritional needs are not quite as easy as dogs. This is a cat recipe. I got it from that website. I didn't make this up. And I know cats can be a little harder to feed because they have different nutritional requirements. So I'm not as comfortable with telling you how to feed your cat. But from this website, all it basically said is rare meat works well. Just par it a little bit to get the bacteria off the outside. And then you can give this almost raw meat. Still has healthy enzymes. Surface bacteria have been killed off. Plus it's still nice and moist. Avoid sausage meat in cats because it has sulfites. This whole talk we were talking before about the sulfites, not good for cats. So you kind of have to know what you're doing if you're going to make your own food. I don't think I quite have the skills, but some of you might. I know Jacinta does. I know you do. But yes, cats like carrots. Who knew? And you can give your cat carrots. That they shouldn't eat. Like there's some foods that are not good. Like I remember grapes are not good. Yeah. And there's some other ones that are real no-nos, but other than that, you can use the pulp. Like from carrots, broccoli, a lot of those veggie sweet potatoes. Celery I think is okay. And you can go through the list and you can go on that website. And it has some really good info for those of you who want to make it. So, you know where we're going. Is my kid at risk? Oh, yes they are. I wrote this article for GMO Science. I quoted my own study. I had to reread it because I didn't remember what I wrote, but here it is. Yes, childhood leukemia is on the rise. Exposure to pesticides increases the risk of childhood cancers such as leukemia. Leukemia is the #1 cancer in children. Brain tumors are #2. New research links an impoverished gut microbiome and chronic inflammation with an increased risk of childhood leukemia. This was out of a British article I read. Diet-related ways are being sought to improve the microbiome and prevent the inflammation that triggers childhood leukemia. It was this professor, his name was Professor Graves, and he was looking at fermented dairy. I'm like, oh, fermented dairy, no, never heard that before. Okay, glyphosate herbicides, they're used on 90% of crops. We went through that. It's a probable carcinogen in humans, it's a 2A. It's a carcinogen in animals. It's not a carcinogen in humans classified by the World Health Organization because they did not have human data. It's the only reason why. Otherwise, it would have been a class 1. Just telling you that. Exposure to glyphosate-based herbicides and other pesticides have been shown to disrupt the gut microbiome. I've said that a million times. I'll say it again. People who eat organic food have been found to have a 25% reduced risk of cancer. That was that study out of France where they looked now at 107,000 people. You can't get bigger. The number of the people in the study gives it the power. A small study of 20 rats, not that big a deal. 107,000 people, pretty darn good. Which cancers went down? Breast cancer and lymphomas. Control studies are needed to verify how switching to an organic and non-GMO diet affects the microbiome. Yes, we need more studies. Frankly, I don't need any more studies. I'm just saying, I have enough data. I just tell you eat organic. I've got enough data. But we need more data? Sure, more data. Yes, that's what these children look like. Got this from some personal correspondence that I thought I would share with you. Seeing God's creatures firsthand in Maui surfing. The surf instructor told me the turtles had tumors due to the food contaminated with pesticides. Right, this is what we're doing. So what are we doing? This is personal correspondence. It's not a study, but that turtle's real. It's from a surfer. So I'm going to talk about livestock. We did dogs, we did cats, we did turtles. Now we're going to talk about livestock. So, according to my dear friend Howard Leager, he's a crop advisor in Iowa. He's a farmer, he's an amazing human. And he said that the U.S. dairy farmers are reporting that dairy cows are now developing wasting disease. They say they don't know what's causing it. Howard thinks it's chronic botulism. They're not testing for botulism because it's expensive to test for botulism. So they say we don't know what's making all these livestock die in America, particularly the dairy cows. But a vaccine just came out for them, for botulism, for Clostridium botulinum. So they must think that there is a link to botulism and these cows. So we're not looking under the surface, we're just making a vaccine for it. We've got coronavirus. Why? Let's make a vaccine. How about we get to the root cause of why we have the freaking coronavirus? Those people in China are toxic, full of pesticides and heavy metals. And that will affect their immune function. So what's going on under the surface? Oh, is it just an American problem? Maybe not. This is from the Belfast News. You see, you want to come spend a few hours with me. You know, I'm all over this stuff. They say there should be a call for action over poultry because livestock, particularly chickens, botulism is on the rise. And what they said in this article, well, we think this rise is due to a change in the test. We're testing more. We were told that about autism. Oh, you're testing more. A greater awareness among farmers. Do you think farmers can't tell that their poultry's sick? That's what we told with the rise in autism. Oh, you're just better at diagnosing it. Really? Do you think your grandmother can diagnose a kid with autism? It's not that hard. I think I can diagnose if something's wrong with that chicken. How about you? Or is it an increased use of poultry litter for fertilizer? Something's in the poop. No mention of pesticides anywhere in the poultry feed. Huh. What about horses? Horses are very sensitive to botulism. They said, this is from a woman who's an expert in horses. That's a horse with botulism, by the way. It's deadly in horses. What did you say? The most effective way to prevent botulism is through vaccination. Nothing in the article about the feed that they're giving the horses or the hay the horses are laying on are contaminated with glyphosate. The hay is contaminated. And that's what the horses are eating and they're bedding. I wonder. Just vaccinate them. So, we talked about this the last time, and I'm going to bring it up again. This was work by Dr. Monica Kruger out of Germany. She took some heat after she published her stuff in 2013. And she looked at chickens and she looked at cattle. She's a veterinarian. Glyphosate suppresses the antagonistic effect of Enterococcus on Clostridium botulinum. What the hell is Dr. Michelle talking about? Well, I'm going to tell you. That botulism, the name of the organism is Clostridium, is associated with disease in cattle. It's up. The normal flora in your gut is critical to preventing contamination with Clostridium. Ingestion of glyphosate found in that genetically modified cattle feed reduces lactobacilli. Those are those normal bacteria that keep the botulism in check. And that's why you have an overgrowth of C. botulinum, because the lactobacilli are very sensitive to glyphosate. The Clostridium thrives when you kill off the lactobacilli. Children on the spectrum, autism, have very high levels of Clostridium in their poop. They have a lot. And that's why they're all on probiotics. We rebalance the microbiome to improve their brain function. That's what we're doing. And that's why we say get probiotics. Because glyphosate is killing off the lactobacillus. It was a chicken study, and then it was shown in cows. And she took heat. And so that's what's going on when you're feeding these cows. Let's look at these cows. This is what that cow wasting disease looks like. I got these pictures from Farmer, and that cow goes to market as dog food for 10 cents on the pound. And that's what they're doing with it. So that's what your dog is eating. And you want to know why your dog has cancer. That's what a normal stomach looks like. Chronic botulism. That's what it looks like. This is pathology. There's a vet. He's writing a chapter. His name is Dr. Dunham. We are writing a chapter together right now. As a matter of fact, I should be doing that. I'll do it tonight. So you can see why aren't we told about this? I didn't know. We don't know this stuff. I don't live on a farm. I'm from New York City. You don't know this stuff. They're not telling us. You know why? Because we should hit the streets. Pig study by my friend Howard and Judy Carmen. Judy Carmen is from Australia. She had her website taken down 35 times after she published this study about pigs that were fed GMOs and pesticides. There's the GMO-fed pig stomach and the control pig. Our stomachs are not like cows. They're ruminants. They have 4 stomachs. Our stomachs are a lot like pigs. And they had a lot of inflammation. That red stomach you see is not normal. That's gastritis, IBS, GERD. How many people you know with that stuff? Like everybody? Who doesn't have IBS now? Oh, our guts look like that? That's why. What's your gut look like? Looks like that. You keep eating GMOs, it'll look like that. Okay, so what do we do? My daughter said, Mom, that's an old-fashioned meme, but show it to the old people. I like it. So if I haven't made a case for organic, I never will. Make your own pet food, maybe. Change your diet. After your pet comes in from outdoors, you should wash their little paws with soap and water. It'll take off the pesticide before they lick them. No glyphosate at home, schools, parks, and crops. So I decided, told my husband last week, that the days of lecturing are over. I'm going to stand out for the Home Depot with a picket sign. Pediatrician against pesticide. I'm going to go there in my white coat. I haven't worn it since I was an intern. I'll find one. I'll wear my husband's. And I'm going to go out there and say, we have to ban the sale of pesticides. It's yesterday.
Why don't we all vote?
We should all. I'm going to put it on Facebook. I'm going to put it on my GMO science Facebook page. I'm going to go out once a week and protest with a sign and a cup of coffee. Make it organic. I like the vanilla creamer if you don't mind. So, but this is the only way, because I could lecture till I'm blue in the face and what's happening. So I say, Home Depot, which sells pesticides, that guy has made $1 gazillion, I've got his name, and he supports Trump, and then he sends those undocumented workers back across the border after they take care of your landscape yard. And I'm saying no. That's what I'm saying. I don't know what you're saying, but I'm saying no. This is not acceptable. Organic dye intervention, look at that. The amount of glyphosate, AMPA is a byproduct of glyphosate, way down when they change your diet. Way down. You can measure this stuff. You can get your own urine and water checked through HRI for $99. I had mine checked. I didn't have any glyphosate or AMPA in mine. Oh no, because I live in good earth. You know that. Here we are again. You know who we are. I can't say it again. There's the book I wrote with Vincent Adams. Vincent is another Mill Valley resident. Thank you, Vincent. She's amazing. Thank you, Good Earth.
Thank you.
This is sponsored by Good Earth, these events. I do it because I love what they do. I told my husband we cannot leave Fairfax because I will not leave Good Earth. Well, maybe Mill Valley. Mill Valley's too expensive. But I'm in Fairfax for the long haul because I can get quality food, and that's what matters to feed our children and our pets. So I will take questions now, and then we'll wrap it up. Yes, Chris?
Roundup. Does it break down?
Does it break? That's a good question. Glyphosate is the main ingredient in Roundup. Glyphosate is water soluble. There are different forms of glyphosate. Glyphosate, there are different forms. Depending on the pH of the soil is how quickly it'll break down. The reports that will break down as quickly as 18 hours, and I've seen reports in literature where it's taken 22 years to break down, depending on the acidity of the soil and also the salt content. Additionally, in Roundup are the inerts that we talked about last time. Those inerts are surfactants. Surfactants are detergents. Those detergents are not water soluble. They break down fast. How long they last in the soil, I don't know. Can last a long time. So they enter the soil, they get reabsorbed back into rainwater, and we have found glyphosate in rain. So it is water soluble, it does break down, the inerts not so much, and it depends. How much we process of glyphosate, it depends how well you detox. Some of us detox really well, some of us don't. You can test your detoxification pathways. Thank you.